So today what we're going to do is put a new alternator in this car, a little Kia, 2005 model Kia. We've done some testing on it and it wasn't giving the proper charge. It was charging at 12.3 volts, which is not enough. Should have been about 14. We did a couple of other tests as well. We looked at the light on the dash that had the battery light on, and when we revved it up, that light dimmed down, which meant that the alternator was actually trying to charge, but it wasn't getting the correct charge out of it. So we've determined that the alternator is faulty and we're going to change it over. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so we've got this bolt here, which is the adjuster bolt, and there's a bolt down here that will take off the power steering. And once we've got the power steering out of the way, then we'll take out the bolts for the alternator. There should only be 2 on that as well, and it'll be similar to this. There'll be an adjuster and a secure bolt as well. So we'll go ahead and get that done. Looks like we've got 14mm bolts here, so we'll get them done. Get on there. Okay, so we'll just take the belt off and then pull the pump out of the way. Just tuck it down somewhere so it stays out of our way there. Okay, so now we've got 2 bolts here that are 12mm.
Back on.
Uh-oh.
Blooper reel.
Well, we just lost a bolt down there. That's okay. When we take the alternator out, it'll fall down to the ground. So inside here, we'll just get my camera person to video in. This here is a tensioner, and we need to loosen that off, and that's what actually tightens the belt down for you. So that's a 12mm spanner, so I'll just grab a 12mm spanner. It's actually a 10mm spanner. Okay. This is our tensioner, and that bolts onto the side of the alternator, and then that screw just tightens or loosens the belt. So pretty simple. So we've taken that off, and now we're just going to have a look and see what else we've got to take off. And we're going to have to get under the car. Oh, bloody hell. What I might do, take the oil filter off, I reckon. So what we've done is we've taken off the oil filter so that we can slide the alternator down here, and I'm just disconnecting the power cable to it. And then after that comes off, we should be able to just slide that out of there. Or not. Just like that. See how easy that was? What we've done, okay, so we've got the old one out, and before I try and put the new one in, I'm just going to make sure that everything lines up, that all the mounting brackets are the same. It looks a little bit different, but that's because it's just a different brand, so I'm not too concerned about that. Our connection points are the same, so we've got a 2-point connection. And we have a bigger mounting bolt here. That could cause us a problem, but we'll wait and see. I checked it and it's going to be fine, okay? Oh, look at that going in just fucking beautifully. So we put our alternator back in from underneath. As you saw just how easy that was getting it out. Well, that was about the same getting it back in. It was a little bit easier. So we've connected our bottom bolt, and now we're just going to put in the tensioner bracket here, the bolt here. So we'll just tighten that up. We can hand tighten that for now. We've put the belt back on, making sure that it's on all the ribs correctly. So that's this belt here. We've got this belt here is our power steering pump, so we'll put that back on when we put the pump back on. So our belt here is on. Now I'm just going to tension that up, make sure that it's nice and tight. Now I'm guessing you can't see a whole lot of what's going on. I'll try and put a torch on there.
Yep.
Alright, hopefully you can see a little bit better there. So we're just tensioning the belt. Now you may not tension this quite enough sometimes, and the belt might squeal. If it does, you've just got to loosen off a few bolts and retension it again later on. I can feel there's tension coming in there now, and not quite tight enough for my liking, so we'll just go a little bit more. And that feels pretty good. And so then from there we will tension up and tighten up the tensioner bolt, and that just secures everything in place nice and tight. Now I'm going to get underneath and tighten up the swivel bolt as well, so you won't be able to see that, but we'll go ahead and get that done. While I was underneath putting the swivel bolt back in, or just tensioning that back up again, I also put the oil filter back on. We'll check the oil after we get it off the ramps, because the car's on a bit of an angle, and top it up as per necessary. We'll go ahead now and put in the power steering pump. No, we won't, because we took 2 bolts out of this bracket, believing that we needed to do that. We didn't in the end, but we do need to put them back, so we'll just put those back. Alright, put those couple of bolts back in. We will put our power steering pump back in. Is that the right bolt for that? I don't believe that is. That's going to be that one. Usually helps to put the correct bolt in first. I always find it's easy to put the correct one in first, because you don't want to have to change it around next time. Also helps if you put it on the right side. Just going to slip that belt on there. That might make it a little bit easier for me. Now I never tighten up the bolts too much until I've got all the bolts in place, because it can be very difficult. Okay. Just as a point of interest, when you're pulling something apart like this, it's a good idea to take photographs of before and after so that you can see where the bolts have come from to make sure all those bolts go back into the right spot. And I just get in a little better here. Now, even though I'm using a ratchet on this one, I'm not going to tighten it up all the way because I've got to tension the belt for this one as well. I've got both my bolts in now. I've left the bottom one a little bit loose so that I can tension the belt. Now this doesn't have a bolt tensioner, so what we just do is just put a little bit of pressure on it here. I feel to make sure that there's enough tension on the belt itself, that it's not too loose, and then just tighten that bolt up, and then that's it. And then we tighten the bottom one up, and we need the socket that came off. Job done. So we'll get the car off, we'll put the battery back, connect the battery back on, and then we'll start the car up and we'll test it to make sure it's charging properly before we take it off the ramps. Alright, so we're going to put our multimeter on. We've started the car, so obviously it's a bit loud. Make sure we put it on 12 volts and just come and have a look here. And when I put it on, it shows that we are charging at 14.23 volts. That's what it should be at. So our alternator is fixed and we're all good to go. Job done.